Imagine discovering a completely mysterious stone complex hidden deep in the forests of New Hampshire. We're talking about a place filled with hidden tunnels, giant rocks, strange carved symbols, and bizarre astronomical alignments. Some people believe it could be thousands of years old, while others, well, they say it's literally just an old colonial farm. Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into the mystery of America's Stonehenge, which is absolutely one of the most debated archaeological sites in the United States. So, thousands of years old or just an old farm? That is the big question. Some folks firmly believe it's an ancient marvel hidden right here in North America. Others say, no, it's completely mundane. It's wild to think about, right? How can one single location be interpreted in two completely opposite, almost unimaginably different ways? Well, let's unpack this puzzle. Our story actually begins in Salem, New Hampshire. When you picture it, think of a typical dense New England landscape. But hidden right within these everyday woods is a site that immediately challenges everything you'd expect to find out in nature. And to put this into perspective, this place is massive. America's Stonehenge covers around 30 acres of land. We aren't just talking about a single odd rock in a field or a tiny ruined basement. It's a sprawling complex that literally takes hours just to walk across. When visitors arrive, they're immediately met with intricately constructed stone chambers and massive rocks, and some of these weigh several tons. Plus, they're arranged in ways that look incredibly intentional. Add in a crazy network of underground passageways and carefully placed walls, and it's crystal clear this took immense physical labor. Which, of course, inevitably leads us to the ultimate question: who built this place? Obviously, someone moved those multi-ton stones. But their identity? Well, that is exactly where historical consensus shatters into two wildly different theories. First up, we have the ancient civilization theory. Some researchers make the incredibly bold claim that this site could be over 4,000 years old. According to this theory, ancient travelers, like Celtic explorers or other early civilizations, may have reached North America way before our history books say they did, leaving these monumental structures behind. And the biggest piece of proof supporters point to for this theory? Astronomical alignments. Several stones here appear to line up perfectly with the sunrise and sunset during the solstices and equinoxes, just like the actual Stonehenge over in England, or other ancient monuments around the world used to track seasons. Supporters argue this precision simply isn't an accident. It was a functioning ancient calendar. But there is one massive catch to all of this. There's almost zero direct evidence proving these claims. Despite the heavy stones and those perfect solar alignments, we completely lack the ancient pottery, the tools, or the written records that would definitively prove a 4,000-year-old civilization actually built this. And because of that missing evidence, a lot of archaeologists strongly disagree with the ancient theories. This brings us to the skeptics' view. They argue that most of these stone structures were likely built much later, specifically by colonial settlers during the 1700s or 1800s. To them, this isn't an ancient monument at all, it's just early American farming history. If you look at it through the eyes of an 18th century settler, the mystery kind of vanishes into daily chores. Those elaborate stone chambers, they might just be root cellars used to store crops during those harsh New England winters. The careful walls could just be farming boundaries. And the grand enclosures, maybe just an animal shelter to keep sheep from wandering off. Okay, but what about those perfect solar alignments, right? Well, critics point to a psychological concept called human pattern recognition. Basically, out of thousands of rocks scattered across 30 acres, it's mathematically probable that a few will naturally line up with the sun by sheer coincidence. Essentially, we see a pattern because our brains naturally and desperately want to find meaning in random information. So, here is the big standoff. On one side, we've got ancient Celtic explorers building complex astronomical observatories. On the other side, 18th century colonial farmers building practical storage cellars. It's an absolutely fierce debate, because proving ancient origins without artifacts is incredibly tough. But at the same time, dismissing 30 acres of giant organized stones as just a simple farm, well, that feels a bit incomplete to a lot of people. And that right there is exactly why the case isn't closed. Just when you think you can confidently label this place an old colonial farm, the site throws some completely unexplained anomalies right back at you. Despite the skepticism, visitors and researchers continually find bizarre details that keep the mystery totally alive. We're talking about strange symbols carved into the rocks with completely unidentified origins. The stone placements themselves seem way too organized to be totally random. Plus, there are hidden passageways beneath the site with unknown ceremonial or practical purposes. It feels like every new discovery just creates even more questions. Because this place totally refuses to be neatly categorized, America's Stonehenge continues to attract thousands of curious visitors every single year. People flock there to walk the grounds, touch the stones, and experience the enigma for themselves.
So, what are we actually looking at? Is it evidence of a completely forgotten history, a deeply misunderstood colonial structure, or simply one of America's greatest unsolved puzzles? Honestly, it really reminds us that sometimes the biggest mysteries are the ones hiding in plain sight.
So I want to turn it over to you. What do you think happened here? Was it an ancient observatory or just a 1700s root cellar? Write your theory down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep your eyes open because you literally never know what mysteries might be hiding right in your own backyard.